Hey folks, Nick here from AnotherBooktuber channel, and today I'll be reviewing Lord of Chaos by Robert Jordan, book 6 in the Wheel of Time series. This is part of my Wheel of Time reread. I've been reviewing every book up to this point, and what I'll be doing is I will be talking about this book spoiler-free, but I will possibly refer to the older books as though you are familiar with them. So keep that in mind before you proceed. And with that, let's get into it. In Lord of Chaos, the Forsaken are more active than ever, sticking their evil little noses into our hero's business and jockeying for favor with the Dark One. Rand decreed in the previous book that men who can channel are no longer to be hunted and gentled, but instead brought to his farm, where they will learn to control their power under the tutelage of the false dragon, Mazrim Taim. The Aes Sedai of the Tower and the rebel Aes Sedai try to find a diplomatic resolution to their split, all while each plots to bring Rand under their control. Nynaeve occupies her time trying to learn to heal Stilling, something that she has been told time and time again cannot be done, and Elaine spends her time making new ter'angreal. Egwene is called in by the rebel Aes Sedai for what she assumes will be punishment for posing as a full sister while living with the Aiel. Lord of Chaos brings the Wheel of Time back on course after a very shaky entry with Fires of Heaven, and delivers several incredible moments that stand out to me as some of the best in the series. I kind of regret committing to being spoiler-free in these reviews, because almost everything of substance that I want to talk about would be considered a spoiler, but I'm going to do my best to explain myself anyway. This is probably the strongest book yet at displaying Rand reaching an unraveling point. He hasn't quite gone mad yet, but he is absolutely spreading himself way too thin, and it's leading to issues of mismanagement. And this makes a lot of sense. This is something that should be happening because he no longer has Moiraine at his side to offer guidance. Even though he would fight her every step of the way, she did still offer a lot to keep him focused and provide insight into how to properly manipulate events and people to his liking. With her gone, he's freestyling and he's kind of bad at it. And that's great. There's a scene early on in this book that I really love where Rand is traveling with a bunch of Aiel, and the Aiel are telling jokes to each other, and he doesn't understand their punchlines, but he still tries to contribute to the conversation, so he tells his own joke, and it falls completely flat, and the Aiel are just like... I think that's a really great scene because it shows that even though Rand is this figure of prophecy and he's their new leader, he is still very much separate from them. And he's not truly one of them, but he's also not truly one of anybody anymore. He doesn't fit in with the Two Rivers folk. He's not just a normal sheep herder either. So he kind of belongs to no one. He is well and truly on his own. Rand's climactic scene is also one of incredible importance, not just for his next step in development, but for the next step of this series as a whole. It has the weight and feel of a proper turning point for this world. Egwene continues to be a character that I am enjoying much more on this reread. I love what her character does and goes through in this book. When she is initially recalled by the Aes Sedai, she admits to the Aiel that she deceived them about her status, and she willingly subjects herself to their honor system. I love the influence that the Aiel have had on Egwene, because compared to Nynaeve, who is 8 years her senior, Egwene is just, she has matured so much more at this fantastic rate, and she feels more worldly and experienced. She faces admonishment and punishment head on without trying to divert blame elsewhere. She takes complete responsibility for all of the actions that she takes, She feels like a proper ambassador between two cultures, which makes what ends up happening to her all the more interesting. Without going into too much detail, Egwene is manipulated into like this certain role for the rebel Aes Sedai because they expect her to be submissive and placating and like just easy to kind of puppeteer, but they're completely unaware of the strength of will that she's developed from being with the Aiel for so long and all the things that she's learned and all of the friends that she's made. So the power dynamic isn't quite what they expect it to be. It's very interesting. It also leads to one of my favorite Matt moments of the series, which I cannot talk about because of spoilers. Nynaeve is also a lot less annoying in this book, which is a very good thing. She even manages to get my sympathy at a certain point because the Aes Sedai are all running her ragged as they try to break her mental block about channeling, and they're acting even more arrogant than she usually does. She's also responsible for something really awesome that happens that I can't talk about, but if you know, you know. I love that chapter. I love that moment. My man Perrin is absent for much of the book again, but does show up to kick some ass near the end. Honestly, from this point in the series onward, I think Robert Jordan didn't quite know what to do with Perrin anymore, so his plot lines do start to waver. In this one, the main issue is that Fael, his wife, gets mad at him when he interacts with other women in a certain way, and he just doesn't understand why. And it's the stupidest kind of conflict to me because it's one of those that would be so easily resolved if the two characters would just sit down and have a conversation with each other. And neither of them seem to be willing to do that. So it just comes across as more annoying than anything. Lord of Chaos is defined by multiple iconic moments, but none are more iconic than the final chapter, Dumai's Wells. Fans of the series already know, and I don't think it's controversial at all to say that the finale of this book is debatably the best ending to any book in this series, including the final one. Dumai's Wells is a powder keg of violent action, a scene that changes the face of the series completely and gives us one of the hardest lines in fantasy history. Asha'man, kill. I also really like having a little bit more visibility into the actions and goings-on of the Forsaken in this one. They would like just kind of pop up once in a while, almost randomly in the previous books, but they are a little bit more front and center. We'll get like full chapters about the Forsaken talking to each other, scheming, things like that. So I really like this book for that reason. It just makes them feel like a more present threat that is actually calculating rather than just one that just pops up once in a while. While it does meander at times, the sheer amount of important moments and quality Rand chapters elevates Lord of Chaos to the upper echelon of Wheel of Time books. My arbitrary and subjective grade for Lord of Chaos by Robert Jordan is 8.5 out of 10. Do with that what you will. If you've read Lord of Chaos, let me know where it falls on your ranking of Wheel of Time books. Thank you very much for spending some time with me today, but now it's time to get back to reading.